All right, now that we know our ABCs and some of the basics of grammar, it's time to really get into it. Now we're going to get into the substance and the motion very soon, but I want to start with relationship. There are two reasons why I want to begin here. The first one is that we'll see these relationship words, conjunctions and prepositions, do not change form. One of the things that will make you just want to pull out all your hair, see, it happened to me, with Greek, is that the words change form a lot to tell you how they function in the sentence. This is called inflection. We'll get into that. It's actually one of the great glories of Greek, but at first, when you're just learning Greek, it can be a little overwhelming. Conjunctions and prepositions, these relationship words, don't change form. So they're easy. So we're going to start there first because these are nice, easy words. But the second reason why it's important to recognize conjunctions and prepositions is because these are the words which allow you to separate big, vast wastelands of Greek into nice little segments. Conjunctions and prepositions show you the logical relationship of words and phrases and clauses to each other and how they fit together. So when you learn to recognize them, you'll be a long way ahead when it comes to figuring out what this all means. You can take it one little chunk at a time. So on to conjunction junction.
Conjunction junction, what's your function?
Hooking up words and phrases and clauses.
Conjunction junction, how's that function?
I got 3 favorite cars that get most of my job done.
Conjunction junction, what's their function?
I got and, but, and, or, they'll get you pretty far. And, that's an additive, like this and that. But, that's sort of the opposite, not this, but that. And then there's or, O-R, when you have a choice like this or that. And, but, and, or, get you pretty far.
Conjunction junction, what's your function?
Since we're talking about relationship, this seems a very good time for me to introduce you to my family, my close relationships here. So what I want to do today is introduce you to my family and teach you conjunctions. Here is a picture of my family when we stayed at the Blue Swallow Inn. Do you see how the word when connects two ideas? This is a picture of my family and we stayed at the Blue Swallow Inn. So when connects those two ideas together. Here's another one. We enjoyed it, however, it was a little funky. We enjoyed it, it was funky, connected by however, okay? In this picture, Jacob is on the roof because Maury is afraid of falling off. Because, you see, connecting Jacob is on the roof because Maury is afraid of falling off. Those are two separate ideas connected with a conjunction. Hooking up words and phrases and clauses, right? Making them run right, okay? Here I am teaching Christy to fly fish, just as my dad taught me. Taryn is smiling in this picture, but she does not like backpacking. Julie and I went to New England in order that we might celebrate our 20th wedding anniversary. We tried clams while we were there. If you go to a restaurant in New England, they will try to make you eat clams. Clams taste awful. Therefore, I recommend ordering cobbler to clear the taste from your mouth. In your color-coded grammar, notice that the blue words are always relationship words. The dark blue will be conjunctions, the light blue will be prepositions. So they're pretty easy to spot out. Now I took the liberty of highlighting every time the conjunction kai is used in John 1. And I want you to notice how much yellow there is, how many times this conjunction kai is used. It just means and. So in Greek and in English, kai is very common. So just to look at it here in John 1, in the beginning was the word and, the word was with God, and God was the word, etc. So kai is used to connect two clauses together. Hina means in order that. In verses 7 and 8, we see this conjunction. This man came to be a witness in order that he might bear witness concerning the light, in order that all people might believe through him. Not that this one was the light, but he came in order that he might bear witness concerning the light. So, Hina means in order that. Hati means because or that. And so in verse 15 we can see that the one coming after me was before me because he was ahead of me. Because from the fullness of him we have all received, and grace after grace. Because the law was given through Moses, grace and truth through Jesus Christ. Here's an example of that. John the Baptist confessed that I am not the Christ. So hati can mean because or that. Look down at, here's another example here. John bore witness saying that I have come to see the Spirit descending as a dove, etc. Here's another example. I have come to see and come to bear witness that this is the Son of God. I think down at the very bottom we have an example of both here. Yes, in verse 50. Jesus answered and said to him, because I told you that I saw you. So hati can mean because or that. De is a weak little conjunction that's used a lot. There are some interesting things about this little one. First of all, it's pretty weak. It's like, you know how these days when people talk, they always start with so. So I was down at the supermarket. Well, the so is just sort of like, it gets the thing going, okay? De is kind of like that in Greek. It's just a weak little conjunction that gets the ball rolling. It's usually not used when you want a big, strong and or a but or a nevertheless or something like that, okay? It's just sort of a dialogue sort of conjunction. One other strange thing about de is that it's post-positive. That's the fancy word for this, post-positive. What that means is that instead of coming first, de ain, like and he was, it goes the other way around. He was and. Now that's just weird to us in English, right? We put our conjunction before the verb, but de is always post-positive. It comes after the first word. So let me just show you another example or two of de here in John. Oh, that's the only one. That's nice. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, here's one. Okay, who are you seeking? And they said to him. So they said to him. You see this de. It just sort of connects. Right here. Okay. The disciples are following Jesus, and it says. And turning, Jesus, seeing them, and it goes on. But you see the and. So Jesus, you see it's just sort of this weak little conjunction. Sometimes it's hooked up with the negative, negator here, uda. So uda means and not. So if you're not the Christ, and not Elijah, and not. Okay. So de is just this connector, it means and, but, so. Allah is a strong conjunction. It means but also, but it's a strong but, okay? He was not the light, but he came in order that he might bear witness concerning the light. Okay? Now you might notice here it's not Allah, but just all. Well, what happened? We lost an alpha here, and that's signified by the apostrophe. It's not too much different where in English we might do something like that. The apostrophe says, hey, there's some letters missing here. And the letter that's missing is alpha, right? It should be that. But because we're followed by a vowel, Allah hina is a little rough to say, they thought, so they just smooth it out and say al hina. Un means therefore or then. Here's the logical consequence. That's the idea of un. What therefore, or what then? Or here we have, they said therefore to him. Notice that un is also post-positive. We would say, therefore, why? They say, why, therefore. Actually, that works in English too. But you can see that John doesn't use un a lot. The Apostle Paul likes it, therefore he uses it a lot. Come and see. They came, therefore. Okay, so it's that logical, therefore kind of idea. You can see John is not a big fan of un. Hos is not a very common conjunction, but it's used some. It means like or as. So in John 14, that Christ's glory is hos, as the only begotten from the Father. I think later on he uses it one other time in John 1, but you can see it's not all over the place. It was as the 10th hour. Okay, it was like the 10th hour. So hos means as or like. Well, we just about have them all. There are only 12 conjunctions in John 1. We've looked at 7, so 5 more to go. Let's just review. Kai, we know, means and again, look at it all over the place. We're looking for those dark blue words, ude, and not, right? Kai, and, okay. Hina means in order that, hina. Allah means but, strong but in order that, okay. Another kai, de, post-positive here, but as many as received him, de. Another uda, and not, but this, okay. Kai means and, kai. Hos means like, we've seen that. Kai again, kai. Hati means that or because, in this case, because. Ahead of me he was, because, kai, because, etc. Kai and, because, etc. Okay. Oh, here's a new one. Hata. Here's one we haven't seen. Hata means when. Okay, this is the testimony of John when they sent to him. So when is actually a temporal conjunction. It has to do with time, but that's more detail than we need. Just notice, hata means when. All right, moving on down here. Hina and kai again. Hati. Kai un means therefore. We've seen that. Kai un hina. Here's a new one. Kathos. Just as. It's a fairly common one, so kathos. John doesn't use it a lot in chapter 1, but kathos means just as. So notice that one as a new one. Kai and un. Oh, here's a very important one. When you have a conditional sentence in Greek, you start it with if. Okay? If. So a is an important conjunction. It means if. Doesn't occur a lot of times in John 1, but it occurs a lot in the Bible. So learn a means if. Uda again. Hina. Here's a new one. Hapu. Where? These things happen on Bethany on the other side of the Jordan, where John was baptizing. Hapu. Where? And I need to point out a couple of other words. I think that's all of our conjunctions. Let me just slide on down here. Oh, let me point out this one to you. Kago. Sort of weird, right? This is kai, which means and, of course, and ego. We've lost 2 letters. It's called crassus. They came together and collided. This is kai plus ego. It means and I. We'll learn that more when we get to our pronouns. But, okay. Any other new conjunctions? Here's kago again. And I. Kai. Nevertheless. Okay. All right, I think I need to point out a couple of sort of odd things. This is one right here, on. Okay, on, if you look it up in a dictionary, a Greek lexicon, it will be called an untranslatable Greek particle. And it really is, there's no direct translation, but when you see on, it introduces uncertainty into the picture. Ooh. On whomever. So it's just sort of like whoever it may be. So when you see on, we're going to learn later that it means that you'll have a subjunctive mood coming up, but that's way ahead of us now. But just, it's a particle. I've colored all of the conjunctions and particles blue. Now there was one more I need to show you up here. Ida. Behold. Okay, that's not a conjunction. That's just an exclamation. It's hard to classify that. It's just an exclamation. It's an interjection. Behold. So, Ida. Okay, so occasionally what I'm telling you is you'll see a blue word that's not a conjunction. There aren't many. In fact, I've shown them to you. There are only 2. Ida in chapter 1. Ida and the on here. So just be aware of those 2. Okay. Other than that, we've covered all the conjunctions. What I would really beg you to do is take some time and use the interlinear and kind of get a feel for the weird Greek word order. It will throw you off some right now. Don't worry about it. We'll learn this. But right now, just notice how the conjunctions divide this Greek up into these nice little chunks. so that later we'll be able to translate this chunk and then work on this chunk and then work on the next chunk, you see? And that way we don't just all chunk together, where it gets all mixed up. These are so important, these conjunctions, at helping us see where the big divisions in thought and in the sentences are. So just spend lots of time staring at those beautiful dark blue words.